Hi, welcome. Here's your writing lesson for today. We are going to be reading the story, The Name Jar. This is the focal text that goes along with our writing prompt. I'm going to remind you what we are writing about this time is a thank you letter. So we're learning how to write a correspondence or a thank you letter. So before we read the story, The Name Jar, I want us to talk a little bit about research and sources. We've talked about this many, many times, but I love to review. Primary sources tell about something from direct experience, like an interview, journals, letters. Secondary sources are like nonfiction books or reference books. Avoid plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Leah? When you copy someone else's work, when you just copy something out of a book without sources, writing the citation or sourcing where you got it from. Exactly, that's copying it. That's saying it's your own when it's not. That's someone else's writing. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and read The Name Jar. What do you guys think this story might be about? What do you think, Rena? Maybe calling names out of a jar. That's a good one. JC?
Naming a jar.
Naming a jar. Okay. Dustin? Maybe kids wrote names in the jar to answer a problem or something. That's a good one too. Let's look at the girl in the picture. What do you notice about the girl in the picture? Remember, we're mainly focusing on different cultures. What do you guys think about this girl? Haney? Okay, she looks like maybe Mexican or maybe Asian or maybe not American, basically. Maybe, but she doesn't look American, does she? No, and we can use our prior knowledge or our inferencing skills to figure out that sometimes when people are not from America, their names sound different. Sometimes your name sounds different if you're not from America, right? You don't have an American name necessarily. And what is the title of the story? The Name Jar. Does that ring a bell, anybody? No. Okay, let's see. Let's read to find out. Oops. There we go.
The Name Jar. Yang Suk Choi. The Name Jar. For Soon An Lee, my mother, and thanks to Tracy and Michelle, through the school bus window, Yoon Hai looked out at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Yoon Hai's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Yoon Hai had wondered. Again she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile.
How does the girl feel that she's moving? What do you think, Jasmine? Sad. She looks sad. She looks sad and worried. How do you think Mom feels? Sad. Dad and brother? Sad.
"Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Yoon Hai, surprising her. Yoon Hai looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Yoon Hai answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Yoon Hai," said Yoon Hai. "Une?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Une," some kids chanted. No, Yunhai corrected. It's spelled U-N-H-E-I. It's pronounced Yunhai. Oh, it's Yuhei, the boy said. Like Yuhei. What about hey you? Just then the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Yunhai hurried to get off. Yuhei, bye-bye, the kids yelled as she left. Yunhai felt herself blush.
How do you guys think that made Yunhai feel? Sad. Why was she sad? Why was she sad, Dominic? Right. The kids weren't saying her name right, and she didn't feel good about it. She felt sad, right? Was that very nice of them? No.
Yunhai stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to other rooms, but her face still felt red. Aren't you going in? Asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. You're the new girl, right? He asked cheerfully. Yunhai nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. Here's the new girl, he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotos, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotos thanked him and greeted Yunhai. Please welcome our newest student, he said to the class. She and her family just arrived from Korea last week. Yunhai smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. What's your name? Someone shouted.
Uh-oh, exactly. Why uh-oh? Uh-oh. Why uh-oh, Dustin?
Because they might say her name wrong.
Now she's going to have to deal with the class. Before she dealt with the kids on the bus, and they all said her name wrong, and they started to make fun of her name. And that made her feel bad. Now, why is she saying uh-oh, Rena?
Because they might be the same thing as the kid in the bus.
Very good. She's thinking that the kids in the classroom might do the same thing that the kids on the bus did. Very good. In front of the whole class. Now, where is Yunhai from? Where is she from, Jacob? From Korea. Very good. She recently arrived from Korea. So she must have a different culture, right?
Yes.
Remember we talked about culture?
Yes.
Culture is the things you do based on where you're from. A culture can include things such as how you dress, what your name is, what kinds of foods you eat, right? And she has an American name or a Korean name? Very good. All right, let's keep reading. Let's see what the class is going to say.
Yunhai pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet, she told the class, but I'll let you know by next week. As Mr. Kokotos showed her to her desk, she felt many round, curious eyes on her. Why doesn't she have a name? She heard someone whisper. Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and needs a new identity, a boy replied.
Is that true?
No! She's a kid!
Why do you guys think Yunhai didn't want to tell them her name? Dominic? Good. Good. She thinks they're going to do the same thing the kids on the bus did. They're going to make fun of her. So that was kind of a good response, wasn't it? To say she hasn't chosen one yet. That was a good response. It'll give her time to choose a name now. But let's see. But wait, if she chooses a name, doesn't that mean she's going to have to change her name?
Yeah, no.
How would that make you feel deep down inside if you changed the name that your parents gave you, that you've had your entire life?
Yeah.
And you changed it not because you didn't like it. You changed it because other kids made fun of it. Would that make you feel good?
No.
No.
I never changed my name.
All right, let's see what Mom says.
On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yunhai kept thinking about her name. How was school, Yunhai? Her mother asked when she walked in. Did you understand the teacher? Yunhai simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandma. I'm glad you are learning English well, her mother said. You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean. I will, replied Yoon-hai, but I think I would like my own American name, she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with surprise. Why? Yoon-hai is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it. But it's so hard to pronounce, Yoon-hai complained. I don't want to be different from all the American kids. You are different, Yoon-hai, her mother said. That's a good thing. Yoon-hai just wrinkled her nose. Later that day, Yoon-hai and her mother went grocery shopping in their new neighborhood. They passed Fadil's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. The sign was in both English and Korean.
How do you think that made her feel when she finally saw a Korean store in America and it reminded her of home? How do you think that finally made her feel, Jasmine? It made her feel happy. It made her feel like she was back in Korea. Yes, Leia? Yes? Oh, yes. Falafel. Falafel is a Mediterranean or an Arab dish. You're right. And sometimes, as us coming from a different culture, we are Arab. When we go to the Arabic stores here, sometimes we feel like we're back home as well. How many of you guys feel that way when you go into your Mexican stores? You feel like you're back in Mexico sometimes. Cool. Very good. Good. Yeah, it's a little different, but that's okay. All right, let's read and see how Kim feels and what happens. Let's see how her mom is going to react to her choosing a new name. Do you think her mom was happy about that? No. She was surprised. Was she mad? No, but was she surprised? All right, let's see how they're going to solve this problem. This is a good book.
Mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yoon-hai's favorite, for soup. It made Yoon-hai smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mother said, doesn't mean we stop eating Korean food.
Right? Just because you move to a different country doesn't mean you stop eating your food, your cultural food.
At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Yoon-hai. Helping your mother with the shopping, he asked. Yoon-hai nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yoon-hai, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Yoon-hai nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yoon-hai. That evening, Yoon-hai stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. Then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried, as she began to brush her teeth. Hi, my name is Susie, she said to the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste.
How do you guys think she's feeling right now? Sad, maybe worried. She has to go to school. She's trying to come up with all these names for herself. And does she like any of them? Not really. Let's see. Let's keep going.
The next morning, when Yoon-hai arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Yoon-hai took one out and read it aloud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yunhai took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Yunhai nodded and unfolded another piece. Wednesday? Yeah, you came here on Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help. A smile spread over Yunhai's face. Ralph quickly said, we'll put more names in. You can pick whatever you like, or pick them all, and you'll have the longest name in history.
So what were the kids in the class doing?
Helping her.
They were helping her get a name. Were they being nice about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they chose pretty names or meaningful names. And how do you guys think that made her feel?
Happy.
It made her feel better. It made her feel happy. All right, let's keep reading. Uh-oh, this kid doesn't look like he's up to any good. Let's see.
At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Yunhai looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar voice called out to her. Yunhai turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said.
Joey.
And you? Don't you have any name? Yunhai thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and took out the small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said.
Who gave her that name stamp? Jasmine? Her grandma. Very good. She gave it to her in the airport in the beginning of the story. Very good.
My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yunhai said. And then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus.
Was he being nice? He was. All right.
And you said he was up to no good.
I said he looks like he's up to no good. Let's keep going and see.
Every day the jar got fuller with more names, and Yunhai read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did...
I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm going to have to repeat that page one more time.
Every day the jar got fuller with more names, and Yunhai read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about this.
That's true, though, right?
When Yunhai got home from school that day, Her little brother ran to give her a letter. It was from her grandma. She opened it quickly. It said, "To my Yunhai, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Yunhai. Your grandma forever." Yunhai took out her wooden stamp and filled a paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror.
What do you guys think she's thinking about?
Her grandma.
Her grandma. What else do you think she's thinking about?
Her name.
Her name. Do you think she wants to change her name now?
No.
On Saturday, Yunhai walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. "Hi, Yunhai." "Hello, Mr. Kim," Yunhai replied. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. "Hey," said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. "Your name is Eunhee?" he asked her with his eyes open wide. Yunhai looked quickly at Mr. Kim, then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. "Yes, it's pronounced Yunhai. And it means grace," Mr. Kim added. "Yunhai," Joey said slowly, and this time perfectly. It made Yunhai smile. "I'll have it ready for you tomorrow," said Mr. Kim to Joey. "Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Yunhai," Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him why he was at the store.
Why do you guys think he was at the store?
Because he was getting figure out her name.
You think he went to the Korean store to figure out her name?
Yes.
Okay. Why else do you guys think he went to the Korean store?
So I could get groceries for her?
Get groceries, okay. Korean groceries?
No.
If he's getting Korean groceries, Pranaya, then what do you think his relationship is to Korea?
He might be from Korea.
He might be from there, or he might have family that's from there. Very good. All right, let's read and find out.
On Monday, Yunhai came to class early to look at the names one last time. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was just a single piece of paper. Paper with a name on it. Yunhai slipped it in her pocket. "Where's your name jar?" Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. "I don't know," Yunhai said. "It wasn't on Mr. Kokuto's desk or on any other desk. And it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As other kids arrived, they helped look." Soon Mr. Kokutos came in, and Ralph shouted at him, "The name jar is gone, the jar with all the names in it." "Gone?" Mr. Kokutos replied. With a look of concern, he asked Yunhai, "Did you get a chance to read all the names?" Yunhai nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. Yunhai wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I like the beautiful names and funny names you thought of for me," she told the class. "But I realized that I liked my name best. So I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Yunhai means grace." "Grace! Grace Inhai!" shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. Inhai, Yunhyi, Yunhei. Yunhai said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better. Even Mr. Kokutos. They applauded Yunhai's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Yunhai. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokutos reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Yunhai heard her new friends say goodbye. "Bye, Yunhai. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Yunhai." Yunhai said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone.
How do you think that made her feel that everyone was saying her name?
Happy.
And they were saying it right, weren't they? Oh, look right here. Look what he has.
The name jar.
He has the name jar. Let's see why.
Yunhai, come downstairs, Mother called up to Yunhai. Your friend is here. Yunhai rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. Where did you find it? Asked Yunhai breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name. And you did. He reached in and pulled out the names. Do you want to keep them? He asked. Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir, Yunhai said happily. Then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. Do you want this back? Joey grinned. You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us. Names with good meanings. I could do that, agreed Yunhai. I've already got a Korean nickname, Joey said. Mr. Kim helped me choose it. Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket. Then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. Chinku, read Yunhai. That means friend. And Chinku smiled back.
Now, Chinku is her friend. How many people in the class have a name with a meaning? And you know what the meaning is. Can anyone make a connection? Can anyone make a connection to the story? Well, I can make a connection. My name is Noor, my first name. And Noor in Arabic means light. So my name means light. And when I first was in school, people would make fun of my name. It's very easy to pronounce, but still some people couldn't pronounce it. They used to call me Noor the door. They used to say Noor. They used to say all kinds of rhymes. I don't remember what, but it didn't make me feel very good. And they didn't know how to pronounce it right. But with that being said, I never did want to change my name. Because that's part of me and who I am and part of my culture. Does anyone in here have a lot of names in here? Jasmine, do you know what your name means? What does her name mean, Jacob Haney? What does Jasmine mean? Leia, what does Jasmine mean? It's an easy question. Jasmine is a kind of flower.
What?
Yeah, it's that white flower that has that beautiful smell. I don't know what all of your names mean. Yes, in Arabic you pronounce Jasmine Yasmin. It's the same name. She calls you Yasmin sometimes? Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. You're Jasmine, you're right. That's beautiful. So I'm not sure what everyone's name means, but you should maybe take the time today to ask your parents. Your parents named you. Maybe your parents know. All right, so we're going to stop there. That's all we're doing today. There's nothing for you to write. We're just reading the story and talking about it. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you later. Bye.